Hey everybody, it's Moonbo here, and welcome back to more Endless Scrap Mechanic. In today's episode of Scrap Mechanic Creations, we're going to be revisiting the Fortnite-themed builds with some of these awesome creations that you see behind me. We've got a camera-controlled mountable turret. We're going to be building like a pro using these walls and floors, as well as roof pieces and ramps. And there's also two vehicles that we're going to be checking out. This one here, the Fortnite ATK, which is a golf cart. And we've also got the Stormwing biplane that we're going to be flying around and shooting at some aerial targets floating in the sky. Now there is a lot to check out and it's going to be loads of fun, so let's get started. Alright guys, so there is a lot to check out and I'm not too sure exactly where I want to start, but I'm thinking we'll start with the wooden builds so we can become pro builders in Fortnite, and then we'll move on to the mountable turret, and then we'll do some vehicle stuff. And I think I might actually want to build something in this video as well, because I've been playing around with these really cool wooden builds, and I figured there's something that's kind of missing, and that is the spike trap. So I figured during the video I would build the spike trap itself. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning, guys, we do have ramp pieces. We have ourselves the roof or pyramid piece. Some people call it a cone as well. And then we also have floors and walls. Now, the best thing to do, guys, is to kind of go into our own little playground mode. And as you can see over here, I have a whole bunch of walls. We've got some ramps lying there, some floors, as well as some cones in the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to piece this together modularly and build ourselves some awesome builds. So we're going to start with this one right here. Now this is one of the walls that I actually welded down already. Now I did paint this one red just to kind of show me that this is the one that is welded down and ready to go. Now these things are all modular, like I said, and you have to build them in a certain way. Now if I bring up the connection tool, you'll see that there are some invisible things on the sides there, and that is just to help with the spacing and getting everything to work properly. So the easiest thing to do to add on to a wall like this is actually to grab our floor. Now as you can see, the floor pieces have a whole bunch of these invisible things as well, and that is just in case you need to space stuff a certain way. Now in this case here, we have a wall ready to go, so we're just going to go around, and as you can see with the weld tool, it highlights all of the invisible parts and it allows us to see them just like so. Now we're going to grab a floor right here, and we're going to weld the floor directly to the base of that wall, just like so. Now look at this, guys. Now we have ourselves the startings of a 1x1. Alright, so now we're going to need some more walls, obviously. Now, like I mentioned, there are some invisible stuff here. Now, we don't really need them because we are welding directly to the floor itself, just like so. Now, you might have noticed, actually, there are some bearings here. Now, you can see them with the connection tool, but if we bring up the weld tool, you can see those bearings are right there on either side, as well as over there. Now, the reason for those bearings is because I wanted to be able to very easily weld ourselves a ramp piece just like so. Now, what you do have to do at this point here is grab your controller on the ramp, or wherever it might be, as long as they're all built together, and you go into the controller here and you just set the angle to 45. Whoops, I guess I kind of set it to the wrong degree here. I mean, in the end that works as a ramp either way because you could build it that way, but for the sake of our 1x1, we're gonna flip it over. Now, as you can see, the ramp isn't going all the way down, and this is an issue that I knew about. I don't know why. I completely forgot about the fact that this was a problem, but there are invisible controllers here. Now, you can actually see them better when we take a look with our weld tool. There's one right there. Now, one thing you have to actually be conscious of is where that controller is going. So, in this case here, we're probably just gonna want to delete that. Now, as you can see, some of those detail pieces did lose their shape, but we can obviously just kind of reconnect those and set them to kind of whatever funny angles that we want to, just like so. And now look at this, guys. Now we have ourselves a really good 1x1. Actually, you know what? We are missing one wall, though, to complete this 1x1 that we can enter, so we're just going to grab our other wall here with the weld tool, and we're gonna pop it down just like so. Now look at that, guys. We have ourselves a pretty good 1x1 here. You know, I'm feeling pretty safe right now. Now, one thing you're going to want to have in your inventory while you're building with these wooden pieces is an invisible logic block, and that is just so you can create invisible welding points that make it a little bit easier to mount all of these builds together. So we're gonna put a couple right there, though. We got our weld tool. We'll grab another floor piece just like so. And then we're going to go up to where we put that invisible logic block and weld it just like so. Now, obviously you can see that it is floating off to the side, but that is just the way it has to be so that we have proper spacing and then we can continue on building. So now look at this, guys. We have ourselves a really cool ramp that goes up to another floor. Now we can keep on going up if we want to. Now normally you would want to put a wall on either side of this floor to create your next ramp, but another reason why it's nice to have these invisible parts is because if I want to, I can very easily just put a logic block right there and then stick another one here like so. And then all I have to do now is put a bearing right there. And now we actually have another spot where we can weld our ramp. So if we grab this ramp right here and run up just like so and turn this way, there it is right there. So we'll pop that down. We'll grab the controller there and connect it and then set this to 45 degrees just like so. Now look at this, guys. We now have ourselves an extension to our little 1x1 right there, and the Fortnite builds are coming along. Alright, so I've got one build left right here, guys. It is this ramp, and I figure, you know what? I'm gonna try and just kind of stick it somewhere right around here, like so. Alright, so now we have ourselves some epic Fortnite builds in Scrap Mechanic here. Now, there were a couple walls that I did not add in. Now, these were just walls with doors. So, as you can see, though, we can very easily open and close the doors on these things. So, why don't we add maybe one of them somewhere? You know what, actually, there's a spot over here, guys. Take a look. Right over here, this spot is completely empty. So, why don't we get rid of those there, and let's grab, I guess it would be right about here, and we're gonna stick a door onto this 1x1 just like so. All right, there we go. So now look at that, guys. We have ourselves our wooden 1x1 with a door and everything, and it's really cool. Actually, you can use your connection tool and you can rotate this bearing right here if you ever want to open the door inward, and obviously you can rotate it like that and rotate it back outward as well, which is really neat. So I do have an extra door there. This is actually kind of interesting. I decided I needed one that was a mirror version of that one there, just in case. So basically, in case you have a ramp, so actually this happened to me a couple times where I had a ramp inside like this, but I couldn't put a door right here because of the ramp, but I could put a door here. So basically that was just so that I could have one way or the other. Now, obviously, you can just weld one side or the other as well, but it just made it a little bit quicker. Now, one thing I did want to show you guys was this pyramid. Now, look at this. So this is the roof build, and it really looks kind of strange when you have it on the lift. I wasn't sure how I was going to design it, but in the end, I kind of finalized with something like that there. It brings itself together just like so. And I mean, it really does. These do look a lot like Fortnite builds. So we do have this one last pyramid, though, so we might as well actually weld this thing maybe somewhere up there. There we go. Now, this is really cool, guys. So we're going to open this up. We can go into our little builds here, up onto our secondary platforms. We got these pyramids here for protection. Now, this is the coolest thing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go, I think, somewhere near the middle. I think this is pretty close. So I went to the middle of this floor right here, and I deleted one of these pipe pieces, and I put in a T-pipe so that we can actually weld the base of our mounted turret to this floor piece right here. So what we need to do is we're going to grab our lift, pick this thing up, flip it over, and grab it right at the center, right around there. And we're going to go back into our builds. Now, guys, obviously, this is a lot slower than actually doing it in Fortnite, but it does work. And there we go. Look at that, guys. We now have ourselves a mounted turret on this build. But this isn't the turret that we're going to shoot from, because we're going to be destroying these builds, because all of these pipe pieces are destructible. That's right, guys. So you can actually destroy these builds. Alright, so we've got our mounted turret right here, and it's ready to go. Now, before we actually start shooting at it, I want to talk a little bit about it. So this is using the camera control mod, so you don't even have to put any work into it. You just gotta point at what you want to shoot at and turn on the cannons. Now, there is one thing I am slightly disappointed about with this turret, and that is that I really did try and squeeze it in to the appropriate size of a 1x1. Now, unfortunately, guys, I just didn't have the room for it. These little cannons here, they extended a little bit too far. Now, I could have used non-modded cannons, some spud guns or whatever, but these guns are just really, really epic, and it's totally worth it. So let's hop into the seat right here. Now, you're gonna see the camera control mod is going to instantly whip us into the direction that we are looking, and look at this, guy. So no matter which way you are facing, the turret is always going to point in that direction. And check this out. Now, this is something I'm really, really proud of. Now, look, this is our first-person view down the sights. Now, look at this, guys. This is so epic. This thing shoots rapid fire with extreme destruction, and just look at the guns shooting. This is really a lot like a Fortnite turret, but the proudest thing about this is the fact that I was able to get these lined up directly so that we could shoot down the sights, and no matter where, guys, look at this. It doesn't matter what we're looking at. This thing is going to look exactly where you're pointing, and the scope lines up perfectly with the camera of your character. And so I use the smart engine to lift this sight up ever so slightly. Now, it's kind of hard to see, but I do have a piston under there. So look, this is a piston right here hooked up to the smart engine. And so what I ended up doing was I increased the length of the piston in very, very small increments by like 0.1 of piston movement. And so basically, I think this one ended up being about 0.3 of a full piston movement, which is very, very subtle. Now, I can show you guys visually what that looks like. So if I unpaint, or maybe, okay, we're going to paint that, and then we'll unpaint this. And there you go. Now you can see there is a little kind of ledge of black right there, and that is how much the piston is being rised up so that it lines up perfectly with your vision, and no matter where you're looking, you have 100% accuracy no matter what. Alright, so like I mentioned, guys, these builds are all destructible, and I gotta say, it is extremely satisfying. It might get a little laggy, but look at this, guys. What kind of newbie came over here, started building? Look at that. They put our turret up there. It's so unsupported. It is time to take this build out. So here we go, guys. Let's start shooting. And, oh, yeah, look at that. It's time to get some destruction. Wow, okay. The door just went flying. Oh, my God. This turret is so powerful. Now, as you can see, I'm just slowly shredding out the bottom of their build because, as you guys know, in Fortnite, if you take out the base of the build, the whole thing comes down with it. Oh, yeah, look at that. Okay, I can see the FPS starting to drop. Oh, man, these builds don't even stand a chance, though. Look at this, guys. This turret is just too strong. And, okay, our frames are starting to really drop. So before we actually, like, crash the game, let's take a quick look here. Oh, my God, guys, look at this. We have just destroyed this little base right here. This little wooden structure didn't even stand a chance. Now, I'm gonna delete this big, huge, free-floating chunk away from our build because there is still a little bit more to destroy, guys. There is so much satisfaction to be had here. So let's just keep on shooting this little one by one. I want to take it all out completely. Oh, look at this, guys. This turret is so fun to use. All you have to do is move your mouse around. Oh, there we go. That's disconnected. Ah, perfect. Look at that. Just completely shredding the builds up. Oh my God, look at this. It's so satisfying. All right, so I'm going to clean up this mess right here. Now, before we move on to the Stormwing as well as the ATK golf cart, I want to try and build a spike trap, and then we're going to see how that goes. And once we are done building that, we'll move on to those vehicles. Alright, so everything is cleaned up, and now I want to try and very quickly build ourselves a really cool spike trap. It's going to be kind of simple, but it's going to be very effective. So we know the size of our wall here. Now, the easiest thing we can probably do is just set ourselves up like so, and extend that by one. I think it was just one longer. There we go. Alright, so now we have our wall size that we need. So obviously now the next thing we're going to want to do is prep for our spike positions. Oh, look at that. That is just perfect. All right, so there are all the holes ready to go for the spikes to come out of the trap. Now, I'm thinking, guys, what we're going to need to do is just kind of go off from somewhere about right here. Now, one thing we do know about the floor pieces, guys, is that it is 11 long. So from here to here, it is 11 blocks just like that. And then the actual trap is going to be mounted on this side here. So what we need to know is how far out the spikes are going to go. So if the wall is actually mounted right here and we have spikes coming out like so, that could go up to the next wall. We know in Fortnite that there is a safe zone. So I'm thinking if we delete maybe, I think it would be these ones here, right? Yeah, so we'll be in a safe zone right here from the spike trap if we leave a gap right there. So how long is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's 8 blocks right there. So because we know it is 8 blocks, we're going to be using the 1x8 spike detail just like this, and this is going to be the spike that we use for this. Now, we've got our arm right here. We know how long the spike is going to be. Now we just need to prep for the piston. So if the spike was right here and it would go to there, we know that the spike is going to stick out in the hole just a little bit, actually. So this is probably the perfect spot right there. So all I need to do now is extend either side just like this. And basically what I'm going to do now is match that checkered pattern on this side here so that we can mount pistons. Alright, so now that we have all of the pistons in a grid, all we have left to do is add our spikes just like so to each and every one of these. Alright, now this is looking pretty good so far. Now one thing I do need to know is how far out the pistons are going to be going, so I can actually very easily just kind of add a little sensor right there maybe, and I'll wire it to one of these pistons, walk in front of it, and there we go. Now we know how long we need to set it for, and I guess it's the exact length of the spike itself. Look at that, there we go, guys. The spike extends out, and I'm thinking the speed, we might want max speed, right? Yeah, absolutely max speed on those spikes. So now what I need to do is set each and every one just like this one right here. Now, I'm pretty sure we have all of them set to the right length. So what we have to do now, though, is set up essentially like a whole bunch of sensors. Now, I could put them all around and inside and all that stuff, but just to kind of keep it simple and maybe a little less laggy, is I'm just going to put a row of them down on the bottom there. And then all we need next is a logic block. Now I'm just going to stick it somewhere in the middle, it doesn't really matter. And what I'm going to do is hook up each and every one of these sensors here. And now that all of the sensors are hooked up to this logic block, the last thing to do is hook up each and every piston. Alright, so now after a snazzy little paint job and a little bit more work, we now have the spike trap ready to go. So over here, guys, I have a little corridor ready to add it. So I'm thinking we're going to add it right here into the middle section. So all we have to do is get that thing onto the lift like so. And we're going to weld it right from that edge there onto the invisible logic block just like so. And now check it out, guys, here we go. We now have ourselves a spike trap. Now obviously you can see all of the mechanisms in the back, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple more walls and maybe it'll hide it that much better. Alright, there we go. I've turned it into a tunnel now, so obviously we can still kind of see it, but it is way better hidden than it was before. Now let's test this thing out here, guys. Alright, so just like Fortnite, we're going to go in third person. We're walking along, and then there's some loot over on the other side there. Oh, we want some of that loot, and oh, geez, we just got spike trapped. Yeah. So, it works pretty good. Now, obviously, it didn't hurt that much because nothing hurts in Scrap Mechanic, but this looks so weird. Look at that. Just seeing the spikes exit out and go right at you, and then even, like, in that third-person view, just like so. Wow, that looks really cool, actually. Uh-oh, and we got a spike broken. Alright, so now that the Fortnite Pro builds are complete, we've got some cool stuff that we destroyed. We even now have this brand new spike trap to add to our builds as well. So we have the Fortnite ATK, which is a cool off-roading golf cart, and then we also have the Stormwing left to check out. So really quickly, we're going to take a look at this, and then we're going to fly around and shoot at some mid-air targets. Alright, so this Fortnite ATK is more of like an off-roading golf cart than anything, and it is really, really cool. I mean, geez, look at these tire treads, guys. Obviously, this thing is for off-roading. Now, we can get into the seat just like so right here. Now, there's not really too much to talk about when it comes to this Fortnite ATK, except that I have some downward thrusters there, and that is just so that you can really plant it down to the ground and go super fast, and also to do cool drifting like so. Now, as you can see, we drift from side to side, and that is all thanks to those thrusters there. But you can do the really nice 180 turns like so, and normally you'd get like a speed boost in the game, but that's not the case here. Now, there's really not much else to say with regards to this Fortnite ATK, other than it is fun to drive around, and I do love the look of it. But my favorite part of this all is the bouncing hood on the roof there. Look at this, guys. The roof of the entire ATK bounces you up into the air. Now, this is just like in the game. It's very useful if you wanted to get to some high ground really quickly. You just drive up with the ATK, run up against a wall, and then bounce yourself up and over to the next level. So this Fortnite ATK is loads of fun, but there's not much else to talk about, guys. Now I want to get into the air with the Stormwing and shooting some targets. So these floating targets were created by Avarium. I got them off of the Steam Workshop, and these things look really cool. I haven't even tried them out yet, but basically what we have here is we have a minimum height as well as a maximum height. So you can increase or decrease the maximum height just like so, and the same goes with the minimum height as well. And then once you have your min-max set, all you have to do is hit this middle button right here, and it will send the target up into the air, and it's going to hover in between your range just like that, giving you an awesome mid-air target so you can hop into the Stormwing and shoot at it. So that's what we're going to do now. I think these were the default values that he set on this flying target, so I'm going to leave them at that. I think it's probably counting as blocks, right? So we probably have 350 blocks high for the minimum, and then 370 blocks high for the maximum. So here we go. Actually, wait. It's probably best that we set this on a lift, maybe, and then we'll turn it on. There we go. And then we'll take it off the lift. Perfect. All right, so there it goes. The target is now floating up into the sky, and now it's time to take flight. Now, guys, this Fortnite Stormwing was built during a live stream. Now, if you were there, let me know down in the comments, guys, what did you think of it as well? And maybe if you were in the stream for the ATK, let me know about that as well. So here we go, though. We are going to hop into this Stormwing, guys. There's not too much to say about it. We can press 1 for our spud guns. Now, you'll notice, actually, that the spud guns are shooting on the bottom there. And the reason for that is because the top ones, I had to really take away from the aesthetic look to make them work properly, and I didn't want that. I'd rather have them just look nice on the top. And when you're flying around and shooting, I mean, look, it doesn't really matter as long as spuds are going down range. Now, another thing we can do is turn on the propeller just like so. 3 is going to give us our forward thrust, and 4 is going to give us a boost, and then 5 is really cool. So as you can see here, 5 just reversed us, but that is actually useful when you're in midair and you need to stall the plane so you can get those extra few moments while you're flying and trying to shoot at something. And then, of course, we do have WAS and deconverter here, guys, that can control all of the surfaces just like so. We've got our tail action there as well. So here we go, guys. Let's take off. I think, where's that target at? Okay, yeah, it's still right up there. And oh, by the way, guys, look at this. I love the first-person view here, and using the ring thruster from the Legend mod, it looks exactly like the power charge in the actual thing. So here we go. We are going to try and take off in... Oh, okay, nope. I'm gonna have to try that again. All right, as I was saying, here we go. We are going to take off into the air as long as we don't hit any trees. All right, there we go. So now we are flying in the air. All we have to do is press 1, and there you go, guys. We can see the spuds going downrange, and like I've mentioned before, guys, using the wing mod, these planes are just so easy to fly. Now, where is that target? Okay, there's the target way over there. Now, it is made of cardboard as well. So you will actually see some destruction. Now, I'm going to get a bit of a better angle. I think I'm going to set some strict follow cam, and we're going to go in for a swooping pass here. All right, here we go, guys. We've got the strict follow cam on. Hopefully that will help with our control. Now, the main thing, guys, is just making sure that you're actually lined up. So why don't we actually start shooting some spuds now? And maybe we can just kind of drift across. Oh, yeah, there we go. We just did a whole bunch of shooting on that target. Alright, so that wasn't too bad, actually. Let's try and swoop around. I really do want to try and use the 5 key. Now, the 5 key, like I mentioned, guys, that is your mid-air stall. It gives you more time in the air to shoot at your target, especially if you're lined up here. So let's try and line this up ever so slightly. Oh, geez. It can be difficult. Alright, let's stall it out. Okay, so as you can see, we are stalling, but I am completely missing. Alright, here we go, guys. We are going to bank around this way. We're going to go in for one final swooping attempt here. Like I've mentioned before, guys, lining up is honestly the hardest part. Alright, so there we go. We're going to start shooting. Maybe just drift across it again, or maybe just drive right into it. Why not? Yeah, there we go. That is certainly one way to take out a flying target. Oh, jeez. I don't even know what's happening now. Our propeller is through the target. I might as well keep shooting. I might as well keep shooting the target here. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna turn off strict follow. Okay, this is Fortnite in Scrap Mechanic, guys. Alright, so let's try and assess our damage here. Now, it seems like there might be even more damage to our Stormwing than the actual target itself, but let's just get this back on the lift here. We actually did quite a bit of damage to it, you know, and I'm sure you guys with a little bit more time and patience could actually shred this target in half or something midair. So that is going to be the video for today, guys. I hope you did enjoy these Fortnite-themed builds. Now, if you do have any suggestions for more Fortnite builds, then let me know down in the comments, guys. And if you did enjoy these builds or the video, then let me know by hitting that like button. It'll certainly help the channel out. And guys, if you do want to tune in for more Endless Scrap Mechanic, then be sure to subscribe to the channel and maybe even turn on some notifications so you can get the latest and the craziest coming from me in Scrap Mechanic. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and I will be seeing you in the next one. So, bye for now.